Welcome, everyone, to the Meaningful Hearts podcast, where we discuss the everyday questions that make us or break us if we let them. With your hosts, Drew and Daniella. Take our hands and let's walk this journey together. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Meaningful Hearts podcast with Daniella and Drew. And today we are going to do questions to a therapist. We're going to put Daniella in the hot seat and we're going to ask her some questions.
Woohoo!
Daniella, are you ready for the challenge?
Yes.
Now, these
I got
questions,
my pen and paper out.
These questions are written down, but Daniella does not know what she's going to be asked. And this is where she shows her ninja-like abilities to answer questions on the fly. Well, in her line of work, anyways, that's sometimes you're put in positions to kind of answer questions on the fly, right? You don't know what somebody's going to come and asking you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, okay. Are you ready for the first question?
Yes.
Okay. Does a fear of rejection play a role in how we interact in life?
Yes.
How so?
It's funny because I'm like writing it down.
No, you're not allowed to write down. You're supposed to just act.
Just because I like to see what I'm answering,
Yes.
Affect how we interact in life.
Yes.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. And I think it can go one of two ways. Can it affect how we interact in life not can we, but yes, we can. Yes, it can. I think the first thing that comes to mind is the fear of rejection could actually prevent you from doing so many things in your life, whether that's asking somebody out, asking for your wants and needs, asking, or I guess even applying for jobs. I know that there are people in this world who don't work because they have a fear of being rejected since they've never had the experience. So in that sense, I think it can definitely impact our lives in a negative way, because then the fear pretty much impedes on your ability to do things that scare you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's valid. I think most people, when they think fear of rejection, it's only in like maybe a romantic way, which is probably the most common, especially when you want to have a partner of some sort and you're the initiator to the relationship, or even asking somebody to go on a date. There's that possibility that you have to go through it, right? In some sort of way, you have to kind of put yourself out there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think beyond romantic relationships, because I was thinking of examples, for some people, the fear of rejection is so high that they won't even ask somebody at the grocery store where an item is because they're afraid of being told, like, go find it yourself, or people afraid to ask for raises at their job. I think those are things that I've both done, and one has worked out, another one hasn't worked out, and I learned that is okay.
Yeah, I would say another one, and I'm guilty of this for some reason. I don't like asking to use the bathroom in a place like a regular random place where I'm not a patron at. It's a New York thing because people aren't very nice in New York, and they tell you to kick rocks. For
me, in that sense, it's more a little bit of, I guess, embarrassment. But I guess it ties into the fear of rejection. But I've definitely had that too.
Yeah,
I would say that on the other side of the spectrum, I think having the ability to reframe what it means to have a fear of rejection, because I'm afraid of things not working out, somebody saying no to me, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to not do those things, because I have to learn how to handle the rejection. And I guess it's not so much the fear of rejection in this aspect that impacts the way we interact in life, but it's the mindset around what rejection means in general. So I can have a fear of rejection, but if I have a mindset that I will never learn how to handle rejection if I don't go through with it, then I'm never going to learn. So it's the mindset. I was a little redundant there.
I think also too, on the other side of rejection is the reward of like being vulnerable, but then like putting yourself to the test, and then on the other side of it turning out good, and it's so rewarding. It's like, wow, I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad I put myself out there, because there's an upside and there's a downside, but
yes, I definitely agree.
okay. Are you ready for the second question?
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who struggles with getting out of bed in the morning?
Oh man.
And this could mean many things, right? You could be depressed. You could just be overly tired, or I guess we could add all those things into that equation.
What would I say to someone who struggles? I would say get the up. No, I'm just kidding. I would not say that.
That's completely valid. That's what you should say to yourself. Get your ass out of bed.
No, that is not what you should say to yourself, because that's pretty harsh. Who struggles to get out of bed? This is a tough one.
Uh-oh.
Because at the end of the day, no matter what I tell somebody, it's ultimately out of my control whether somebody has willpower or not. That's really what I think getting out of bed comes down to, is how much do you want it? How bad do you want it? I think I would explore those avenues. And also explore not so much about motivation, but what's something that they look forward to throughout their day. Is it that cup of coffee? Drew loves his cup of coffee. Is it that cup of coffee? Is it that commute to work? Maybe. Although a lot of people don't really like the commute to work. I really do, because I like driving. Is it that first sip of water? I guess little things. I would encourage people to think about the little things that can potentially make a difference. Now, if somebody has, for example, kids, I think the way that I would approach that is, what kind of person do you want to be for your kids? What kind of person do you want to be for yourself? And kind of explore those things. If it's really very, very difficult and I've exhausted all options, maybe I might consider having a conversation about potential medication for somebody. But that's after exploring all of these things. I'm answering the questions based on how I would approach these with clients. In my personal life, I think I would be a little bit harsher to my friends. Like, what are you doing? Come on. Of course, after exploring what's going on. What would you say to somebody? I know this is actually something that you struggle with sometimes.
Yes, hence why. I guess it comes from a place of, I guess, knowledge and curiosity, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do. I find it very hard to start the week because I carry all of my tasks and things that are weighing on me before the week starts. So for me, it's a very hard start. Like taking a break and coming back to work and coming back to things, I struggle with it. So the start of the week sometimes is very rough for me, because I know what a tall order it is to get through it or to go through it. I mean, anyways, at the beginning of the week. So getting going in the morning, and I start my morning early. I go to the gym first, and I just have all this stuff weighing on me. So by the time I start my day and get into it, it's a very rough start. But I've noticed something about that usually, like, by the end of the first day or so, I find ways to like validate what I was feeling, but at the same time, understand that it's not a permanent fixture or a permanent fix in my mind, like a permanent problem that I'm just avoiding. It's just how I'm approaching the day, the start of the week, and how it's just I have a hill to climb. I have a lot of stuff on my mind, but once I settle in, I'm okay. It just takes time to break your I guess break that feeling, that temporary feeling you have, or the temporary yeah, the temporary mood that you're, maybe a mood, that temporary mood that you're in, and kind of push past that wall. And then I feel, as the week goes on, I feel more rewarded and cool and calm and collected and feeling very good, as opposed to just feeling worse and can't wait for the week to end, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. It sounds like you work through by, I guess, reflecting on the idea that the feeling is not forever, that
Yeah.
it's a rough start, but that throughout the week, as time goes by, it just get better. And I think that that's a pretty good way to navigate that struggle.
Yeah. I try to hang on to good things, right? Not to things that I dread doing. I hang on to things that are exciting, that are possible and positive, I guess, in that sense. And I work through it. And I don't always succeed 100%. And it's been better, like overall, it's been better. But there are some times where I don't know, I'm out of it, and then there are times where I'm just like completely dialed in. And I guess maybe it might be partially the work that I do. Everybody's lifestyle and everybody's choices are different, and things that they go through. So I guess for me, I guess that's the gift and the curse of what I do.
Mm-hmm. I thought about two things to add, and then it slipped my mind. I think the first was exploring, what helps somebody feel fulfilled, which is kind of what you not necessarily we were talking about, but you were open about your struggle with what you do for a living. And sometimes I think lack of fulfillment or questioning yourself or being doubtful of yourself can definitely pertain to that struggle to get out of bed. I think the other thing that I could also potentially do with somebody is, let's imagine what your life would look like if you stayed in bed every single day for the rest of your life. If you didn't get out of bed, what would that look like? Almost like some form of exposure work on the other end of the spectrum. Okay, you don't want to get out of bed, stay there. What would that look like for you?
I think that I do have that perspective in a sense, because when I do get out of bed and I do enter the day, and after I get out of a workout, and I'm like, I'm so glad that I pushed past that to do that, because I know that you don't get any rest, or burying your head in the sand or hiding under a rock the whole day and just going to hell with yourself because you feel so bad. It actually multiplies and feels worse and worse and worse, because you think, wow, I wasted the day. I wasted all this time. What am I going to do? What's tomorrow going to bring? If I'm feeling this way now, how am I going to behave tomorrow and the day after? It's only going to compound and get worse. And the end result is you get nothing out of it. You just go deeper into this hole. And I've been there too. I've been there at times in my life where I was just dealing with things and then going back into the hole. And tomorrow was even harder. It was like a depression hangover of doing all the things that prevent you from progressing by not dealing with it, so that when you wake up the next day, it hits you even harder. And I know that my life as a whole, if I let that consume me, would be a catastrophe. It would be catastrophic.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. Just kind of further drives my point, or I guess the way that I would handle it with somebody home.
Yeah. It's, I guess, when you're in it, your inner child, or your person that wants to pull a tantrum, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. It feels so bad. I'm so sad. It's like you have to like manage that and push through that. And I guess maybe some people, they don't have the capacity to do it, or maybe they need a crutch or something and they get medicated. But overall, I think it's very important to put your feelings into perspective, look at your life overall, and know that I have to do something. I can't just do nothing, because nothing doesn't change anything.
Yes, very true.
Okay. Now, this is I'll throw a little curveball in there. I figured I'd change it up a little bit.
Okay.
It was a conversation that I had with someone, a friend, and he mentioned this. So I'm gonna go with that. How do you deal with? Oh no, actually no. I decided to go with a different question, because I think
Okay.
I'll hold on to that one.
Okay.
This one I think would be relatable. How do you deal with parents that are the main cause of why their child is in therapy?
My love.
She's like, oh shit.
How do I deal with parents? A lot of patience.
Well, it's more or less like when you speak to the child, you get a good sense of the home environment. It's like, oh, here's my thing. Here's my child. Fix my child. My child's the issue. My child has issues. I don't have no idea. I don't have any idea why my child acts this way. And then you realize their household, their home is very turbulent, and the parents themselves don't have it together, but they expect their child to have it together. It's like as if, I don't know what's wrong with my child. It's not us, obviously. Just fix it.
Yeah. So I've had instances where that was sort of the case. I wouldn't say that I've worked with children who have extreme behavioral concerns. But the way that I have handled it is just having sessions with the parents and listening to their perspective, listening to their dynamic, and helping them gain awareness about the possibility of the role that they play. And I've definitely had conversations with parents where I will say, I am not here to play the blame game. What I am here to do is get a better understanding of what's happening. And the reality is that so many of us are a reflection of our home, whether we are aware of it or not. So if there's something that is happening, there's usually a good chance that it's something within the home first. And of course, I also explore with them other avenues, because it's not just a kid's home, right? There are peers, teachers, mentors, whether they have any extracurricular activities or whether they don't. If there's a child with no social interaction, that's part of the issue too. But the foundation is within the home. At least that's my personal belief. Other therapists might tell you differently, but these are the kind of conversations that I have with parents. I don't just go, you're the problem, because I don't believe that they're the problem. It's the behaviors. This is something that I've talked to with a lot of my clients, is that a lot of us identify ourselves with our behaviors as part of who we are. And it's important to separate that. A behavior is part of who you are, but it's not you. It's not your identity. And I think that sometimes parents already might be feeling insecure, or they feel like they've made mistakes. And if I were to just challenge them and say, hey, this is what you're doing wrong, they're going to respond in a way that is not helpful. So I've definitely had to have sessions where it's just about building rapport and hearing their side of the story and how hard it is for them to be parents, because being a parent is very hard. So that extensively answered your question.
Very, very well.
I try.
You're awesome at your craft, and it's a continued education. But I think that, that's probably one of the best ways to go about it, especially when dealing with a parent who would probably get defensive if you were to react like in that sense of pointing the finger and saying, hey, I know exactly. It's very simple. I guess that I would be the worst to do this, because I'd be like, it's obvious. Look at the way you got.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, get it together.
I don't know about you as a therapist, maybe a little too straightforward sometimes.
You want the real honesty here. The real reason is it's not really a child. It's just you guys. It's like, I'm doing a 2-for-1 deal. Get both parents in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say something else, but I forgot what it was. Yeah, it left my mind.
Okay. Well, I think this is a great stopping point. I think we could thank Daniella for her expert opinion.
Thank you for asking me those questions.
It was a pleasure. Thank you all for listening, and I hope that you got a lot out of this, and we will catch you on the next one.